don't know.
Look how cute it is.
Oh, right here.
Are you starting to get good art?
Yeah, my sister-in-law learned the hard way when you do finger painting, which she doesn't have children. When you do finger painting with children, they get it all over the place. But we got this beautiful little picture with their handprints on it. So it's really nice for her. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. My kids are grown, so we've got boxes and boxes of kid art. My daughter now, she's 8, so she brings it to us. We're like, oh, that's cute. But she now puts it on the fridge herself. She switches it out. So just start, get some good boxes to keep all of that.
Yeah, it's like every kid finds out when Santa Claus isn't real. At some point in time, all of us as we're growing up, we realize our parents don't always keep everything. And then sometimes we throw it away. And so you got to be careful when you take the art project and it doesn't go where you keep it. So
heartbreaking. But listen, what if there's kids watching? We got to censor that information, like my kids. How you been? Okay, so I just asked you this when we were in the waiting room right before the show started. You've actually been out and about in this weather. I haven't left my house. I'm not leaving.
Yeah, I mean, the mornings are always going to be tough. So I had 4 different peer group meetings that went to virtual. And so I have 2 more this week. But yeah, in the mornings, you got to be careful. I mean, I feel, we have a Kincaid bus, Apple bus, the big school bus companies in town. I feel for them. It's hard to pick up the kiddos when it's literally ice out there. But you would think someone wrote our banter that we had writers for this show of how piffy it is.
I know you like that. Actually, I'm not even sure we have any watchers. If you are watching, please let us know that you are watching and comment over here. Let us know if you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, and let us know if you've left your house. I refuse to leave my house this week. 0 degrees on Sunday. That's what the weather's calling for on Valentine's Day.
I grew my chest hair out for the winter, so I'm good.
Oh, so, aren't we lucky? Let's pivot over to talk about our sponsor. I've got to show something here. I saw this today, and I am so excited about this. So here we go. Bank of Blue Valley's parent company was recognized as Forbes' Best Bank of 2021. That is huge. And how lucky are we to partner with them?
Yeah, Sean and Felicia, who we work with, are absolutely wonderful. And one thing that's really exciting, I was talking to Sean about, is Wendy, now that the pandemic has seen a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, is going to start reaching out to a lot of our guests to come in for a tour. So getting a tour from the CEO is something that will be really exciting, and getting great Bank of Blue Valley, cups and great stuff like that. So super excited, and what an amazing sponsor. And we have some of the coolest people ever watching the show right now.
We do. Look, we're starting to get comments. Jessica Powell is watching on Facebook, and Mike Myers is watching on Facebook, and he likes us. Thank you. Thank you. Randy Powell, that's my friend. Hi, Randy. Randy and I keep saying we're going to do lunch together, but not this week, Randy. I'm not leaving my house.
Could be one of the nicest people in all of Kansas City and one of the best leaders. So that's awesome. Get that lunch in.
He also gave me for my birthday a platter with some of those bundt cakes. It's the only platter I own. It's been used more than anything in my house. I didn't know we were going to have so many football parties, so I keep getting out my platter, and I think of him every single time. So he's very, very kind. So keep letting us know you're watching. I want to get to our guests. Our guests are phenomenal this week.
Woo!
We have one of our guests is one of the only other few people in Kansas City that has a LinkedIn Live license. So that's pretty exciting.
He's all over the news.
He's everywhere. I'm surprised he could make time for us, but we've got a couple podcast show hosts here, so a lot of pressure's on us today. Look, Carrie says it's his first time watching. Thank you, Carrie. Janae says, hello from Russell, Kansas. It's really, really cold. We agree with you, Janae.
You're the best, Janae.
We are freezing here in Overland Park and Shawnee. So, all right, let's get going. I'm going to do intros. You do your cheesy music. This is Scott's. Ooh, here we go. All right, let's go ladies first. So, our first guest today is Miss Sheri. Second guest is she's on fire, Shay Smart. You see him everywhere, and he's finally on our show, Mr. Burton Kelso. And you're used to seeing him in the comments, but today he is on our show. Hi, guys. playing, Scott. You're not.
God, I'm like 0 for 10 on music, but you know what? Just like in marriage and at my job, I set the bar real low and then I come up. But it was You Got a Friend in Me musical, but I'm going to give up my driving and hand over the reins to Aaron right now.
And I'm going to say hi to a couple more people. I thought that's what it was. The other day when we were waiting on some food with my family, we like to play category games, and everyone has to say something from the category, and it was Disney movies. Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4. We covered them all. So I was top of mind. Devonna, hello. Thank you for coming in. She's just seeing what we do. And I love Mickey, a former guest, Mickey over in Lenexa. So keep telling us you're here. I know you're going to have questions for our panel today, so start asking those early. Thank y'all for joining us. We're so excited you're here. So let's just jump right into it. Sheri, let's start with you. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you get here?
My name is Sheri Hall. I am the CEO of Poetry for Personal Power, and I am also a spoken word artist. I got here by courtesy of Bank of Blue Valley. Thank you so much. And what Poetry for Personal Power does, we are artists. So we advocate for the arts and for mental health. We provide non-clinical behavioral health services and multicultural competency training.
Wow. So you guys have probably had a heck of we're going to get into wins later, but mental health, well, both mental health and spoken word are really at the top of everybody's talking, especially since the inauguration, right, on the spoken word space. So how has that kind of played into being able to tell people what you do?
You know what? Amanda Gorman did us all a favor. It's beautiful when one of us makes it. It's even more beautiful when they represent in fine fashion. And her words were absolutely suited for this time in the country. And I'm proud to be a fellow literature and performing artist, and proud to represent people who are artists of all walks. Art really helps mental health.
Wow, I can't wait till we dive into kind of what your COVID's been. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Bank of Blue Valley, for sending you, because I was like, we've never met before, so this is super exciting. We're going to have to connect on the back end. And if you want to connect, make sure that you're commenting over here, because our hope is that you get to connect with all of our guests, and our guests get to connect with all of our past guests that are over here, and friends and colleagues. So, Shay, who are you? What do you do? How do you get here?
I am Shay Sparks. I am the CEO, Chief Excitement Officer of Sparks of Fire International. I am a certified fearless living coach and trainer and host of the Power of Investing in People podcast. And how did I get here? Like here on the show? Gosh, the quick version is I got here because, I just admire your work, Aaron, and love you as a person and as a professional. So I guess maybe you noticed. I don't know. Maybe I stalked you enough to know. That's how I got here today.
You're making big waves over there. You're doing some amazing stuff in the veteran community as well, which your podcast is a little centered to, right?
Yeah, so the podcast, I interview veteran and small business owner who are leaders, and really just how they've invested in themselves, and it overflows onto their family, their life, their business.
Where does that come from? Why did you decide to go to that area?
To the veterans or to the investing in yourself?
The veteran side.
Well, every story I have, first of all, is a long story, so I'll always try to go the quick version. I had interviewed one veteran when I first started the podcast, and once his episode aired, I had probably like 5 to 6 other veterans reach out to me and was like, I want to be on your show. And this particular veteran, the first one, he had started a nonprofit. And so I talked to the other ones, and they had all started some sort of nonprofit or a business. And I just started noticing over the course of several years that I kept meeting veterans everywhere I go. And I was at a podcast conference, and I was talking to a gentleman, and he said, well, tell me about your coaching business. And I said, well, I transform trauma into treasure. And he said, have you ever considered working with veterans? And I was like, wow, well, they keep showing up, so maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. And as soon as I accepted that, I got involved with Bunker Labs here, and that's where I met David Komar. And so it literally, doors have just been opening ever since. So that's exciting.
I love how organic it is. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and what's cool about this is for our audience, usually I try to book 2 guests a week and Scott tries to book 2 guests a week because our networks do come from all different lives. And today you booked David and I booked Shay, and here we are. They all cross connect, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you got a friend in me. I guess that maybe hopefully that the song was a little poetic.
Absolutely.
Oh, you all look at you full circle, Scott.
Yeah, Burton gets some love in the comments over there too.
Oh, they're noticing over here. We're going to get to those comments. Don't you worry. But you are knocking them down left and right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shay. Burton, for the 2 people on here that maybe don't know you, I doubt that might be aiming at a high number. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you get here?
I'm Burton Kelso. I'm the Chief Tech Expert at Integral. We're a computer service and IT support company helping homes and businesses throughout the metro area and beyond. And I'm trying to move my right arm here because the toys that I've got on my bookshelf kind of go with today's theme. I don't know if anyone noticed. Buzz is off screen, but there's Woody and Jesse. And I've got a host of other stuff around me too. But my catch line is I love technology. I've read all the manuals, and I'm serious about making technology fun and easy to use for everyone.
And you're everywhere.
I try to be.
So you are our guest that also has a LinkedIn Live. So you go live on LinkedIn, you go live on Facebook, you go live on YouTube, you go live on the news.
Yes.
Often giving technology tips for those parents like me that don't know what our kids are doing all the time.
Right, exactly. And it just gets worse during COVID, so keep your eyes open.
Bernie, how old are your kiddos? And then give a little idea of the size and scope of your business. So do you work across the country? Or are you very Kansas City focused? So kids and professional.
Yes, kids, 2 boys, 15 months apart. They're 11 and 12, Christian and Caleb. As far as our company is concerned, on site, we work around about 100-mile radius from downtown Kansas City. Remote, we have customers all across the country that we can remote in and take care of all their IT issues. I think the furthest out we've been is St. Croix. We've had a customer move from the States to St. Croix, Virgin Islands, so had to remote in and take care of some stuff there. So,
unfortunately, you probably had to do an on-site visit just to check in. But for the audience that doesn't know, you would call it the managed service business. Right. And in managed services, what does an ideal client look like? What's their typical size and scope? Are they 10 to 100 employees, 10 to 20 million in revenue?
Well, home users, solo users, and businesses that don't have an IT professional on staff. So you could be a 100-employee company. As long as they don't have employees on staff, we can, or not employees, techs on staff, we can help them out.
Nice. Yeah, I imagine your 11 and 12-year-olds, that can be fun that when they're my 14-year-old sons and you catch them on everything.
Right. That's why the collection is back here, because they're on their devices more than anything else. So it's a challenge.
You all need to start following Burton, because I will tell you, I've used some of his tips, and I would say my son's probably not your biggest fan, but I am. Right? Keeping him safe at 14. Well, thank you for joining us. Dave, who are you? What do you do? How do you get here? And we miss you in the comments today.
My name's Dave Komar. I'm the CEO of Culture Guide. And what we do at Culture Guide is we help CEOs to build exceptional, enduring culture for their companies so that the employees love to work there and customers treasure doing business with there. And I'm a retired Army general. I'm a Kansas Citian by choice. I was stationed out at Fort Leavenworth from 03 to 07, and my wife and I just fell in love with the area, the people, the amenities of Kansas City, but still being able to be close to nature without having to drive too far. And so we decided in 09, we bought a house. In 2011, I was stationed at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And when I went to Afghanistan, my wife came here, and they've been here ever since. So Scott was one of the very first people that I met here in Kansas City. And Aaron, it probably wasn't too much longer after that I met you, back when, we used to go places and meet each other and have drinks and things like that together. But we just absolutely love it here. And I'm also extremely involved with reconciliation services. In fact, my wife has been volunteering. She spent the whole day volunteering at Thelma's Kitchen, and I'm on the board of directors there as well. And just thrilled to be here.
People don't realize, like, if you could go anywhere to get a bite to eat, Thelma's Kitchen is awesome, and it's super, always from scratch. The food's phenomenal, and Father Justin does an amazing job. And David, thank you so much for your service to our country. I'm always in awe, and I hate even asking you this question because it's always mind-blowing. But right before you retired, what was, for those that aren't familiar with the military, what was your position and how many people reported into you? Because I think it plays a role into what you do today and how you create culture and how you can handle, obviously anything that's thrown at you. But, when you retired, what were your last 2 posts and what did you do and how many people reported to you?
Yeah, during my last post, I was the director of capability development for the Army. So all new capabilities, modernized capabilities, as well as organizational changes, I was responsible for. We were responsible for identifying and prioritizing the Army's $25 billion per year modernization budget. And what was very interesting was the fact that there were several thousand people in the enterprise that did the work to accomplish that for the Army across about 17 different organizations, which almost none of those people I was directly responsible for, but I was responsible for all the work that got done in that matrix managed organization. So that was quite a challenge. And then prior to that, I was the director of Army business operations, and I was responsible for the Army's process improvement program, business initiative program, as well as organizational performance program. And the Army's about at the time, it's about $135 billion a year operation. So it was a great opportunity to work with industry and academia to find out what are the best business practices out there and which of those practices could be scaled to such a large organization. So it was this opportunity to be able to serve.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm like scared for you.
I know. I told you it's literally like intimidating. I'm like, wow. I was like, yeah, David can handle anything.
Yeah. Well, I know that you're one of those people when you walk in a room, you command the room. So I've always known you could handle a lot, but I didn't know all that. So that's very interesting. Thank you for joining us. I did want to show you. Mike says he's a big fan of David K. He gave you a nickname, David K. Thank you for your service and all you do for our community. Lots of people over here saying thank you for your service. So, and a lot of vets here, you guys, a ton of vets. This may be the most comments we've ever had this early on, even more than less, I think.
It's a pretty big deal. What are you going to do?
We got a lot of big deals on here today. So I wanted to go through a couple of these comments because we say this is where you network right now, right? During COVID. Network over here. We have actually been having a lot of stories. Maybe we'll do a show one day and tell you the stories, but we've been lucky enough to hear a lot of stories of people that are doing business that meet over here in our comments. So Susie's calling. She's watching from Overland Park. Hi, Susie. Priscilla is here, and she says, thank you, Burton, for letting her know. I don't know who this is, but I just got to share this comment. This means your privacy's on. Greetings from the Arctic subcontinent of Iowa. So that's kind of like your kind of like that. Jim Porter says, good afternoon, everybody. And Grant says he brought his own warm drink today. Michael says it's nice to be here and hear all of these wonderful leaders. And then go Army. And good afternoon, guys. Excited to hear from all of you, especially Shay Sparks. And that is Mitch Case's wife. And they did a wonderful family.
More than a meal.
So also bringing in technology to trauma and facilitate virtual reality training. So it looks like it's all kind of coming full circle. Keep putting your comments over there. We want to keep introducing y'all. What I want to get into, because it sounds like everybody's been very busy during this past, you guys, it's almost a year. March 14th is the day we shut down last year. So we're getting so close, but let's talk about it. We thought we'd be done with this question by now. I told you all that in the waiting room earlier, but Sheri, let's talk about what has been your biggest win during this past year.
I think the biggest win is really allowing mental health to be virtual. Providing that people have been so isolated, especially those who really need touch, and providing those non-clinical health services that keep people connected, keep them here, present, and able to better themselves has been the biggest win. It's been transformational over the past year, quite honestly, for a lot of people. Also, providing income supports and income ability for artists and advocates. Even without COVID, it was hard for a lot of people to try to make a living in these fields. And we've been able to continue to do it with COVID.
I'm interested. You're in both the arts and mental health. And I often, as a creative, see that crossover a lot. How do you feel? So in my business, my creatives have been thriving because the structure of the normal business day-to-day life has been taken away. How have you seen that in your interactions with artists?
It's iffy. Some thrive inside of the structure, so they have had to create a new structure for themselves. Others have been thriving without the structure, finding more time, picking up new crafts, picking up new arts. And others have really created new income streams for themselves. They have looked into stock markets and training. They have gone into teaching, where they're teaching online. They've gone into mentoring, and some of them have also completely come over to advocacy and learning how to provide peer support to people online and in person. So, and there's still some in-person activity going on with this. So I don't want to pretend that everything is online, but artists, they've made a way. They've made a way. When you run out of paint, you use ink. When you run out of board, you use canvas. Like, they make a way.
When you run out of paint, you use ink. Somebody write that down. I like that. Well, oh gosh, we're gonna have to get together.
Sure, I love it because Erin's blowing. She's like, boom, boom. There's two in a row. But yeah, it's just. I mean, it's almost like you don't want to say survival, but it's you find a way.
Absolutely.
Well, and Emmeline said constraint breeds creativity for her. Finding new paths can be fun. I agree, absolutely, right? Shay, what's been your biggest win? I know you've been all over.
Well, gosh, I love that when you said, if you don't have the paint, find the ink. I think that's kind of what I did. So we got shut down, right? So as a coach, I was just really missing community and really missing getting together in person with people. And even though I didn't do that with my clients, I missed the interaction of, being able to go to lunch or grab coffee with anyone just to network. And I also have a book, and I was talking with my publishing company, and they suggested that I do a co-author book, facilitated co-author book that would really help other like-minded people who are maybe solopreneurs or coaches, podcasters, maybe they're founders of nonprofits where they are now isolated, and really create a community. Well, he really said just to create a book for them. And I took it a step further, and I've created a whole community, and it's called Firestarters Book Project. And it's due to be coming out very soon. And it's just amazing, the people that are in this first collection. And so the plan is to continue the rest of, until I have them all done. But we have titles for 15 books. And so and it's around a theme. So it's kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul, if you remember those books. And so that was kind of geared toward a specific market, like nurses or teachers. This is kind of like cleaning the slate and realizing at the human level, we all experience the same things, right? So we all experienced COVID. So the first book was how to be a spark of hope in the midst of change, because we know how much we can complain about it. So what is it that you can do proactively to go forward in it? And that was just one of the first titles that came to me. And so we have people from all walks of life that's in it. We have two in what are they called? Chief Master Sergeants that are in the Air Force. We have a retired Navy guy who was on a submarine. We have life coaches, speakers, podcasters that are in this book. And so that was really instrumental to me because it was really about building community.
And now, is that book out yet?
It will be shortly. It's not yet.
Like, I just wrote 15 books. That's all I did during COVID. I wrote 15 books.
Yeah, not yet. It's coming. Yeah.
Burton, follow that up.
I was on Newsmax this last year 3 times, so everyone's face is like. But yeah, I wasn't talking political. Obviously, it was tech related. But as far as COVID, just happy to be around. To be honest with you, I mean, there are a lot of people that lost their lives during this pandemic, so I'm just happy to be on this side of the dirt as opposed to others who've unfortunately lost their lives. But we're fortunate because, you know, we're an essential business, being a tech support company. So, I mean, it's been business as usual plus more. But I'm happy to say that, you know, I guess on the fluff side, we were selected best computer and IT support in the state of Missouri by Missouri Magazine. But on the realistic side, it's just good to be able to help people take care of all the frustrations that they've had with technology, with working virtually, trying to do webinars, and just everything that has happened during this pandemic as far as making that shift with technology. So just being able to be helpful to people and help them not get as stressed with their technology. So it's been a blessing.
And Burton was very ahead of the content game. So your content game was already on fire, which allowed you to really pivot into all of the stuff you were doing. People know you were there to help them, which impressed me because a lot of times, a lot of people didn't get into the virtual game until it was time to get into the virtual game. There was no other option, right? But you've always been ahead of that, which has always been impressive from my marketing point of view.
Thank you.
All right,
I appreciate that.
Folks, C-Mac, your turn. You've been doing a ton. So tell us what you've been doing.
David, what have you been up to?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. First off, I'm currently working on a book. It's called Culture Guide: How Smart CEOs Build Exceptional and Enduring Culture. And one of the side effects of COVID is that I've had so much more access to CEOs because they're doing so much less traveling. So it's much easier to get access to them, and being able to communicate with them, you know, through Zoom or whatever the application is. Fortunately, I've got a lot of experience on that because the last 7 or 8 years I was in the Army, probably about 85% of all the meetings I went to were through some sort of video teleconference capability. So very, very comfortable with that. And then on the other side is I want to just follow up on Scott's great plug for Thelma's Kitchen. Since we had to close down with COVID, had to close down the dining room, what we did was we pivoted towards doing box lunches, which, oh, by the way, you can order for your company, team, school, or whatever online and have them delivered to you. But it's the same great quality food. It's just that it's in a box lunch. There's a walk-up window. So it's still a great opportunity. Plus, and Sheri, this ties in with what you were saying. One of the things that we found with reconciliation services, we do a lot of trauma counseling, and by going virtually, one of the things that we didn't expect as sort of, again, a positive outcome when you're out there trying to help people that are in need is that the percentage of kept appointments went through the roof. Because you know when you think about it, all the things that can happen in in the day of someone's life that might prevent them from being able to make an appointment. Everything from kids being sick or missing a bus or whatever. That now it's just a matter of, okay, I just get on the phone at this time and I'm able to talk to someone and get help. So that's one of the things that even when it's going to be easier to get back face to face, we realize that that still fills a great need for a lot of people. So so those have really been a couple big wins during COVID.
Well, you all have been up to some incredible stuff. I think that was one of our best panels that ever told us. Now, let me tell you this. Everybody's also getting shout outs over here. Shanae, I hope I'm saying your name right, says, great day. I'm excited to hear from these great leaders, especially Sheri Hall. Jeff says, hello, everyone. Enjoy seeing and hearing ideas. And then, Scott, I'm going to do the thing we're not supposed to do because, that's how I am, right?
Yeah, Shanae, by the way, Shanae Kimber's been on the show. She's with Bank of Blue Valley.
Okay, I'm saying her name right. I don't remember it all.
Technically, she's our boss. So great comment.
But her name's all in capitals, so I think it threw me off. Do you see this?
Yeah.
Everything.
No, well, Shanae doesn't have her. She don't have her picture.
Doesn't have her picture. Come on. Come on.
Shanae.
All right, listen. I'm gonna do the thing we're not supposed to do. We got our first nasty comment ever, but I want to respond to it because I think it's really important. Look at Scott. He's scared. Thomas says, have a great day. Not what he expected. Thought we would talk about leadership, not personal achievements and resumes. And here's my thought to that, Thomas. I think that you have to talk about where you come from to understand how you became a great leader. And I think that's very important to our show of people understanding. It looks like you're in some sort of service. And so I would think that it would be very important for you to understand that at least two people on this show talk to people that are in the service every single day. And Dave's been there, right? So I'm sorry that it wasn't what you thought. Hopefully you'll come back and watch again. But I think it's very important to understand that great leaders do come from backgrounds. Nobody's born a leader. It took me a really long time to even call myself an okay leader, right? I had to go through a lot of stuff. So I just wanted to comment to that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to invite Wendy Reynolds on. I'm going to get my foot out of my mouth with Bank of Blue Valley and invite Wendy Reynolds on the show. And she's going to ask you a question. Wendy is the CEO of Bank of Blue Valley. She's amazing. She shows up every week for us. Very exciting.
And then you have Mentoring Monday coming up, where you're one of the mentors that Bank of Blue Valley is sponsoring for the Women Who Mean Business Network.
Yes, and we will put that link over in the comments, both on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And it is actually free this year. Did you know the Bank of Blue Valley is making it so everybody can go for free? And I don't know if you've ever looked at this, but I remember when I first started my business, I couldn't afford to go. And so if you ever want to go to this event, make sure that you sign up, and we'll put that link in there. But let's bring on Miss Wendy Reynolds, who's actually making it so we can all go to it this year.
Considering the current tough market conditions, what efforts, if any, are you making to help pivot your company into the new future?
All right, Sheri, let's start with you.
Oh, gosh. For me, it's just really about connecting, creating community. And it's really I can't even explain how I have emails daily where somebody is introducing me to someone else. And so I am always making sure that I'm introducing and connecting other people, because I believe in giving first, and then you just automatically get it back. And so for me, that's what all of this has been in the last almost year, is really about just giving value wherever I can, being of value, being of service, and connecting.
Love it. How about you, Burton?
Shay stole my comment, but I agree completely that it is about connecting and helping people. And I'm trying to do that with technology and obviously with social media as well, just helping people, especially solo and small businesses that are struggling, helping them with the tools that they need in order to survive. Technology is always changing. So I'm always offering tips and advice to help individuals and businesses take it to the next level.
How about you, David?
I think one of the things that I've done is and maybe this will scratch Tom Guthrie's itch a little bit, who actually I know, and I invited him to this session. So I apologize, Tom, if I misled you, but it's being much more purposeful about showing people how much you care about them. It's a little bit easier when you see people every day to stop and talk to them for a couple minutes and ask them how their family is. But being somewhat isolated because of COVID, it's so much, the temptation is to sort of have tunnel vision and be thinking more about yourself and not be as aware of the people around you. So, I think great leaders in these types of situations really make it a point to be more purposeful and more thoughtful about reaching out to people, about letting them know how much you care about them, about letting them know that they're doing a great job for you, and being, the word authentic is overused now, but being genuinely concerned about them and seeing how you can help them, because everyone's struggling in a different way. In fact, Aaron, I love something you said early on. You got tired of people saying, "Hey, we're all in this together," and no, we're not. We're all in this differently. So that, I think, is really the key for a leader in this type of environment, is to really make the extra effort and to be especially aware of the needs that people have, and staying connected with them when it's not as easy to do because you see them all the time.
I like that. I like that a lot. How about you, Sheri?
So for the company itself, for Poetry for Personal Power, we are the SAMHSA statewide recovery and consumer networks, right? For Kansas. We do work in Kansas, Missouri, and Colorado. Why I say this is because, again, since we've been able to connect virtually more, our work has expanded. What does that actually mean for leadership? I want to make interactions meaningful. So just because we have the technology to be able to be on Zoom meetings all day, it does not mean that I'm keeping you there all day. You need time to human. You need time for the 5-year-old that sits with you while you're working. So allowing people to have balance, because I know for me, when COVID first started, we were finishing a scientific research paper. We did some research on service user input. We were applying for like 3 grants, and I was in front of the computer 14 to 16 hours a day like this. I don't want that to be a regularity for my people, nor is it healthy, because I did gain the COVID-19. Let's not do that. Let's just not. And let's, now that we know where the mistakes are, we can turn them around.
I haven't heard that I have gained the COVID-19.
That was genius. I was like, man, I've heard the freshman 15. I haven't heard the COVID-19.
She's in spoken word. Of course she did that.
That's right. Well, one question. Wait, Burton, how long have you been in business?
27 years.
Okay. How long have you been promoting your business where you've actively, you're telling people about it, you're getting out there and talking about it?
That same amount of time.
So, the thing I think is unique, I spoke on a panel to young people pre-pandemic, and a big takeaway is, I've only been in the business for about a decade, is I didn't network with anyone because I wasn't worth networking. So I literally locked myself in a cube, and I was that guy that would make, 100 calls a day to set a couple meetings. And it just takes so much time to promote your brand. And Aaron really gets the credit for taking this in Kansas City specifically, but attention is the new currency. And if you want to be, a successful business owner like Burton, 27 years, you're thinking to yourself, you're like, man, I've been doing this for 6 months. But, when you're on the point where you're on a bunch of different mediums and you're working with the local news, it's like, literally, it's a really lonely road for everyone on this panel, because if we're not going to be an advocate for our own brand, no one's going to be an advocate. And to this day, I'm assuming that, we have very few people outside of ourselves, when you found a company, to be your own brand. And so we ask a lot of guests on this show to get out of their comfort zone. We try to get them to brag a little bit. We try to get them to tell us their accomplishments. But I promise you, no one, and especially our past guests on the panel, they don't ever go into a coffee meeting and tell you about themselves. But the purpose of the show is we're trying to get that out of them, of like the big aha moments, or we've had guests that have been on the Oprah Winfrey Network that we have to beg them to talk about it because they don't want to talk about it.
Oprah, Ellen, we've had them all.
Yeah, and so it's unique for this type of setting, but it's super interesting that we probably should remind the audience that we have to when we prep for the show, we're like, okay, we're going to need you to brag and talk about it. But I guess I think it'd be kind of interesting, Aaron. I know you're going to talk about comments, but I think we should revisit that on the show of how long we've been at it to grow our business. And so, Aaron, before you ask the next question, how long have you been at it growing your own business?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
My business will be 5 in a couple months. So, but I was doing sales in the city, hitting up LinkedIn the 10 years before that, right? I know I don't look old enough for that. You guys don't need to say it, but that's what I was doing. And so I think, that's the old adage. I'm a big meme girl where it took 25 years to become an overnight success, right? And I think that I don't know how many of you guys are on TikTok, but there's a big thing on TikTok, Gen Z versus millennials right now, which is really fun to watch as a Gen Xer. And so watching how we are in a different place where if you can dominate social, you can get your name out there very quickly, but really developing those real long relationships take a really long time. So I'm waiting for people to start asking questions. We have more comments than ever, but I'm waiting for people to start asking questions. And I'd like to piggyback off of you, Scott. And I'd like to ask you, Sheri, let's start with you and we'll go around. How important have relationships been to your business? And if you can think of an example where a relationship really helped take your business next level, could you tell us about that?
It has been absolutely important to have relationships, even developing new ones, and making them mean something. It's more than just reaching out and ask, getting to know each other, not just knowing the kids' names, but some people I've developed some really long-term relationships with, and hey, I might come over and have dinner. They may have come over and have dinner. As an artist, I have a relationship with the founder of the Interurban Art House. I had a hip replacement a couple of years ago. Was in a car wreck, broke a thing or two, had a hip replacement. And she came over right before Thanksgiving with lasagna and pecan pie and her mother. And, while I wasn't able to do anything, she came over there and sat there with me. And she also helped me on my artist career. She also said, here's how you write this grant. And now here I am leading a company and I have to write grants. And this is how my employees get paid. So it's absolutely important to develop those long lasting friendships that nurture you, that you nurture them. And it keeps you in a good headspace when you feel like everything's falling down, right. Just personally.
I love that. You are good at spoken word. I'm just going to I want to be your friend and just listen to you. Shay, I know that you and I met years ago and you have worked hard on my off days on nurturing our relationship, right? Sometimes when I go MIA a little bit. So tell us how important relationships are to you. We can tell by the comments over here. You have quite a few of them. And if you can think of an example in your business.
So one of the businesses that I didn't talk about was I'm also a hairstylist. And I've been that for 20 plus years. I know I don't look like it either, but but I actually have always went by the rule of it's 80% actual skill, or I'm sorry, it's 20% skill and 80% the relationship that you have with that person. And this morning, I was literally doing a client and I was asking her about her oldest grandson. And she's like, oh, he's 24. And I'm like, I've been doing your hair for 25 years. Can you believe that? And I have so many clients like that because it is building that friendship, like Sheri talked about, building that rapport, building that connection, and remembering little details like what their names of the grandkids are, where they went on vacation. And it's not even, for me, it's not about like having to remember. It just comes automatic because I feel like I genuinely care about that person. So I believe, to me, it's really about being curious and caring and, being, like David said, the word authentic. But that's what it is. It's being authentic.
Yeah, I heard a hilarious joke the other day when someone was describing the person that they get their haircut from. And they're like, it's the longest relationship I've ever had with the opposite sex outside of my wife. And so I just thought it was really, it's just so cool how the relationships and the bonds that you form with your clients and how special that is.
I've also heard you're like a therapist, like hair people are like therapy. And I'm like, no. And then I like catch myself at my hair person.
Totally.
She knows everything.
Well, that's probably why you're so good at your business, is because you have so many It's that Malcolm Gladwell. No, that's you. I don't know who came up with the 10,000 hour rule. Someone in the comment section will get it. But, having that 10,000 hours of therapy and coaching just allows you that unique ability to help others.
Well, and I want to add too, we were shut down for 2 months, during the, March and until May. And I had clients that were sending me checks in the mail saying, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. I don't have an appointment with you, but please let me help you. And I was blown away by how many times that happened. So, and it was because I took the time all those years to really build that connection with them.
That's awesome.
How about you, Burton? You are the king of relationships.
I appreciate you saying that, Aaron. But yeah, I think in my industry, it's important as a tech individual not to talk down to people, but to talk to people. One of the things that I always tell people is that I love people more than technology. I mean, I know all of you watching have dealt with the arrogant tech guy who is better dealing with the computer than dealing with you and whatever problems you have. So I think it's important, whatever your craft, that you understand and talk to your customers in a way that a 5-year-old could understand the craft of your business. Because if you talk over their heads and you make them feel little, they're not going to come back to you. So I think that's one of the things that helped the longevity with my company, as far as making sure that people understand what's going on with their technology and going the extra mile to make sure that they don't have to call you again for any future issues.
That's so good. There is nothing worse than the arrogant tech guy. I agree with you. Everybody's good there.
It's sad. Nice. I was going to say it's sad too, because it's kind of like an epidemic in the tech industry. I mean, tech guys overall just don't get it, that you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. And so, yes, you may know more about smartphones or computers than anybody, but at the same time, you can't make people feel little. And I think there's why there's always such a churn with people when it deals with their tech guy. People put up with it because they don't know who else to call, but inside they're like, I really don't want to deal with this arrogant jerk. So I make sure that when I deal with people, that I just kind of settle them down and make sure that I explain everything and make sure that their problems are solved so that they don't have any issues in the future.
I like that. David, how about you?
I was fortunate for over 31 years to have one of the best jobs in the whole world, probably the best job in the whole world for me, as a uber extrovert, or someone who just loves being with people. Because being in the Army, it gives you the opportunity to, you're not just working with someone, but particularly when you're out in training exercises, you're out in deployments, and sometimes even out in combat, life and death situations, you're not just working with those people, you're living with them, you're eating with them. And there's so many opportunities, just during the course of the 24-hour period to really get to know the people that you're working with and ask them about their family. And, I'm a little bit older than you and Scott are, Aaron, and it would just be heartbreaking at times when you were constantly moving, and it was so much harder back then to remain connected, because without the technology and things like that. But what really spoke to the quality of those relationships and the true intimacy of those relationships was the fact that you'd run into somebody that you served with 5 years, 10 years, 15, 25 years later. And it's like you saw them last week. It's like you could just pick right back up. And, like Shay was talking about, instead of asking about your kids, of course, now you're asking about, grandkids and, and things like that. But in what they're doing in life now. And I tell you, I have to be very careful with my time on Facebook these days, because I'm in several groups that have soldiers from units that I've been in previously, and I always want to see what's going on in their life and continue to share with that. So, but in the end, I don't beat myself up too bad, because I feel I truly believe that time spent with someone is never time spent wasted.
I love that. Letitia, who's a former guest, said how you make people feel is key, which is what all of you all said. So I really, really appreciate your answers. I do want to tell you that we got all our questions right at the end. So next week, ask your questions early, because now I got to choose. But if our guests want to jump into the comments later, people would love this. I do want to, because I already put my foot in my mouth about Shanae, I'm going straight to her question because I feel bad, right? Okay, here we go.
Oh, Shanae doesn't care, but I just wanted to throw a shout out to Bank of Blue Valley.
I know, but I should have known it was her, even though she doesn't have her picture. I should have done
not there without a picture.
Not without a picture. I'm going to her question. Also, because I love it. Sheri, your team speaks so highly about your leadership. Tell us the approach you took being interim leader and establishing your team and earning their trust.
So I can tell you with Poetry for Personal Power, I've been there. I started as a sponsored artist in 2012 and then really became an employee of the company, going from contractor to employee. So when I became interim, which was July of 2020, and now I'm actually the CEO, I presented as my most authentic self. I was honest about the challenges that went on. I didn't allow them to stew and brew and kind of be scared. And I chose that because that's what I would have wanted. There is a term in peer support that we use called mutuality, where I can lay on your shoulder and you can lay on mine. It doesn't mean that I've cried out all of my tears on anyone, but it does mean that we can have an open and honest trust. We also co-created the culture that we wanted, right? So in transforming the organization, I didn't just say, I'm going to do it. I allowed them to have input. I allowed them to complain. And I heard them just like they heard me. I think a lot of times people just want to be heard. And then after being heard, they want action taken. They want to know that you've been heard, and being actionable about what you're hearing is really important. And I know it was important for my teams. I know everyone didn't get exactly everything that they wanted. And again, I'm going to be honest about that. Hey, we're not going to be able to do that, but we'll do this.
I like that you say they want to be heard. I saw a fact this week. I was thinking I should share on the show, and now I just remembered it. I was doing social media for a client, and actually, do you know that they say one of the biggest camaraderies of having employees and employees bonding together in collaboration is Monday morning gossip. So them coming to work and gossiping builds camaraderie that turns into collaboration. And so often we don't think of gossiping as a good thing, but if we can direct that into being positive gossip, right? More about like and creating that culture, David, kind of like you were talking about, how influential it can be in your business. So I like opening up that and letting people hear. Thank you so much for sharing that. Letitia, again, she's on it. She said she loves creating that co-culture. With that, Sheri, let's head over to you. I know that you do a lot of solo stuff, but because you've been doing all the podcasts and stuff, I think culture is still really important to your three businesses as well. So let's end with this question for everyone. We got 6 minutes, so you got a quick answer, each of you guys, okay? How do you successfully manage culture virtually? And do you have any tips for Jim?
Great question, Jim. Sheri, you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I manage it by making sure I have a downtime, actually, because there's a whole lot of Zoom fatigue that can happen. There's a whole lot of my eyes will start to hurt after a while. I've been on 12-hour courses and in teaching, and it's brutal. And so after, and those were 5 days in a row. So then after that, I took a week off and drove to Colorado. So I think self-care is extremely important for anything virtual. So that would be my culture, even by myself.
I love it. How about you, Burton? Managing culture virtually.
Yes. Obviously, you have to have the Zoom meetings, but at the same time, there's other ways that you can do it virtually. You can stay in contact with text or even emails. But the whole idea is to make sure that you're staying in constant contact with your team so that they understand what your company goals are. And you have to be the shining example too, because you don't want to put them in situations that you wouldn't do or make them do stuff that you wouldn't do. So constant contact and just making sure that they are reminded on a regular basis what you expect and listen to them to find out what they want to get from the company.
I love that you say not everything has to be a Zoom call. That's my new favorite saying. Why is everything a Zoom call now? We used to talk on the phone about this call. Now everything's a Zoom call.
You want to know how you're old? Is when I think everyone on this call is old because you say like, what's the, did you MapQuest it? And no one's used MapQuest forever. But you'll be like,
used it last week.
You MapQuest? So sorry, David needs to answer the question, but I that's what, you're old when you say, you MapQuest?
I just want to tell you, I used MapQuest last week to see how far our new place is from
Did you use Google or MapQuest?
No, I got MapQuest and put it up.
Wow. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, David. Go ahead with the question.
David, we want to end with you because you are the culture genius.
No, what I do is I equate what's happening now and the way we're interacting now with the way we did previously. So I equate, the Zoom call, the Zoom meeting as, the team meeting in the conference room, the board meeting, the collaboration, the work group, the planning team, whatever it was. And that was all great, but you reconnected with people, walking to the car, out in the hall, at the proverbial water cooler. So don't use the same medium to try to connect with people in that sort of meaningful and personal way. Give them a call. Okay, just give them a call. Just like, yep, absolutely. Just like, again, you wouldn't say, okay, we're only going to interact in the conference room or during this planning meeting that we're having. No, you're going to do it at lunch. You're going to do it, walking down the hall, even if it's just a couple minutes. So just stop during the day and just give people a call. See how they're going. See how their kids are doing. See if they need anything. How you can help them. That's all.
I agree.
Me and Havens talk on the phone at least once a week. Okay, Havens, guess what? We got 2 minutes left. So it's your favorite segment of the entire show, Cheesy Icebreaker Questions by Scott Havens. Everybody's got 30 seconds to answer. There's one word. Go, Havens.
Audience, please feel free to comment, but we will start with you, Sheri. What is your favorite Disney movie that you enjoy watching with your family?
Ooh.
Or just favorite Disney movie that you enjoy. It could be a song. What makes you happy?
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Shay?
Finding Nemo.
Burton?
Star Wars.
And David?
Bert, you cheating because that was not. Come on, that's lately. That's come on, man. So old Disney. Let me think. Aladdin.
How about you, Scott?
Aaron? My son, my wife, and I, when we get coffee in the morning on the weekends, we play the whole Moana soundtrack. But for me, 101 Dalmatians was always a fun one.
Our absolute favorite, my 8-year-old daughter and I, our absolute favorite is The Princess and the Frog. Because you don't need a man. Is ours around here. That is our favorite, and it was the shortest line at Disney, and I was so excited back when we could go to Disney. So we want to thank everybody so much for watching. If you are in my head and as paranoid as I always am, I just want to let you know that Shanae says no big deal. We're all good. We're all good. So thank you everyone for coming on. Let us know in the comments your favorite Disney movie. Connect with people in the comments. Connect with all of our guests. They are tagged on here. They would love to connect with you. Come back next Tuesday. We will be here, same time, same place. And please stay very warm this week. 0 degrees on Sunday. Thank you all so much for coming out.
Thank you.